Welcome, everybody. This is
Glorf.
Fort.
And the Doug. Welcome, everybody, to our podcast. Uh, we're really excited to have you listeners here with us today. We're going to start by going around and introducing ourselves. And the piece of information we're sharing today is what order of Knight Radiant we would be and why. Glorf, you want to start us out?
Of course. I am Glorf and I am an edge dancer. And
And why do
I
you
don't know.
identify with the ideals of the edge dancer there, Glorf?
I think part of it is because I'm a mom. And the need to listen and things like that seems to really fit. Also, the Sanderson website told me I am, which made me very happy because that was my dream order of Radiant. Fort, do you want to go next?
Yeah. So my order of Knights Radiant is Windrunner. I like protecting people. I think it's really important that everyone feels safe. And also the website told me that as well. I kind of like the Dustbringers with their division and also just the idea of the Bondsmiths with all their spiritual stuff. That's always fun. But yeah, Chess says I'm a Windrunner, so yeah.
Awesome. And Fort, in addition to wanting to protect people, is a service member of the United States military. So, everybody give him a shout out and pour one out for our troops, boys overseas that are no longer overseas, I guess, because Afghanistan is over. Wow. And the Doug is a skybreaker. And here's why. Because, you look at what the Almighty has done. And you look how the Almighty's ordered the universe, and He's ordered it according to laws. There's four simple equations that one can use to explain pretty much every one of the fundamental forces. And I believe that it's important that the problem with the other orders is that you need something external to keep yourself centered. The judgments of men are fallible. We've seen that before, One of the big problems Kaladin's always having is like, what am I supposed to protect? Who am I supposed to protect? Why? But having something external to cling to, that helps, that's guides, that's something that people can come to a consensus on. So, I also, the important thing to realize is Skybreakers pre-Nail being a massive dirtbag about it. So, before Nail turned all the Skybreakers into total tools. So, with that, feel free to comment on what order of Radiant you might be and why in the comments. And we're going to move on to first segment, discussing Sanderson news. And Fort's going to lead out the discussion at this point.
All right, well, today is August 8th. Brandon has posted a new video just about how people can get the signed copies of both the Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, as well as his Frugal Wizard's Handbook. And so, yeah, that came out today.
Sweet. And how does one go about getting those autographed copies?
He has an auction that's going on. I believe it either starts this Friday or last Friday, because it seems like there was a snippet from last week's, but I could be wrong about that. They're also going to choose random emails that are on their emailing list, and we'll send them out to them. So if you win the drawing or earn high enough on an auction, you can get one of those. You can go to his video to look at that.
Ooh, exciting. And we'll post a link to the video in the description below.
I like the email thing. I'm on that. This gives me a chance.
Oh yeah, I really like it. I always look forward to the emails because they give the best updates, especially when they do the Year of Sanderson updates on all of his books and everything he's done and the plans for the future.
Yeah, what is the latest? What books we got coming up, and where's he what's he still working on?
Well, he's still working on Stormlight 5. I believe he's a little over 50% of the way done. He's Secret Project 4 is coming out in a few months. The newest one that just came out is Yumi and the Nightmare Painter that just came out last month. I know that Jancy is working on the Skyward Legacy, I believe is what it's called. And we have Read On, I believe is the name of it, coming out this year.
It's actually Defiance. Read On was one of the novellas about Alanik, but
okay.
Defiance. Yes, the final book of the Skyward trilogy, or quadrilogy.
Yeah.
With an additional.
I I love how the trilogies always turn into quadrilogies, like Mistborn Era 2. It's because there's so much goodness, you can't pack it into a trilogy.
So excellent. Anything other updates from the Shardcast or in the happening that we've heard a rumor in?
Um,
I haven't heard anything.
Can't remember anything. I'm just waiting for some big news about, Mistborn getting adapted into a movie. Like everybody's waiting for that because Brandon's been saying something about Hollywood the past like 10 months, and it's like, we'll get to you someday, but it's like, when is it? So, whether it's happening or not, no one knows, but like,
I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence with that because, like, I mean, they've made a lot of movies and streaming series recently coming out of Hollywood, and that I think that a lot of people would say weren't stellar. But on the other hand, if Brandon's personally involved, he'll probably help them make sure they're true to the vision. So I'm kind of conflicted on it. What do you think, Glorf? Would you be watching a Mistborn movie?
Oh, I'd watch it in a heartbeat. But I agree. The problem with TV series and books is they have to cut things out to make the plot line a little simpler. And so you always kind of worry what's going to get cut out. But again, if Brandon's in on the planning, I feel like we're less likely to lose the important stuff and we'll keep the things that are best and everybody's favorite parts.
Yeah. Although I have heard about that. Apparently, one of the changes that's going to happen in the screenplay is that all mistings can burn atium. So
that's technically a retcon. I don't think that will be in the screenplay, but that is a retcon because all of the Atium in Era 1 has traces of Electrum in it. So that way it's more of a retcon that because if it's a pure god metal, then anyone can burn it. Because it is from a shard. So each of them had traces of Electrum in it.
Interesting. Actually,
He
yeah.
has an answer for everything.
Man, excellent. Well, with the Sanderson news out of the way, we are going to move on to discussing the latest secret project number 3, Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. So, quick recap for those of you who have not finished it yet. We're going to be getting spoiler heavy in the review, but Yumi and the Nightmare Painter follows a story of 2 different individuals. One, a lonely guy named what is it?
Nicaro,
who
also
is a
known as
nightmare known as Painter, who he calls himself. He's part of what's known as Nightmare Watch. Their job is to prevent nightmares from the Shroud from coming into civilization and destroying it. They call them painters because by painting the nightmare, they force it to take shape. Meanwhile, the other part of the story follows a girl by the name of Yumi. Yep, she's the name of the book. My brain is not firing all cylinders tonight. Yumi is the Yokihijo, or Girl of Commanding Primal Spirits. It grows on you. She has to stack rocks in order to attract spren-like creatures that can then be used to power many marvelous inventions that her planet uses regularly to continue to survive. Weird things happen when they end up waking up in each other's bodies. And that's kind of the basic premise. But let's discuss what we liked, what we didn't like, and what our favorite parts were. You want to lead us out there, Fort?
Yeah, so I thought it was a really good book, and I definitely need to give it a reread, especially after hearing a lot of other people's reviews and thoughts on it. Because when I first read it, I'm like, oh, this is a really good book. I like it. I didn't like it as much as Tress. I know that that's a very controversial thing. Because a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, Yumi's the best. To me, it was good. I liked it, especially as a Brandon book makes it amazing. I still like it more than most books, but not as much as all the other Cosmere books he has written. It's not the bottom of the list, but it's not the highest either.
I guess I won't. Fort, I'm not going to argue with you about it being better than or Tress being better. I guess I liked both of them. Like I can't compare the 2 of them. They're just so different and both so awesome. It's like I can't really rank them against each other. I just love them both.
I felt like Hoyd had more of a presence in Tress, and so when he was talking, it didn't really seem like it. In Yumi, it seemed like he interjected a lot, which wasn't horrible, and the way he did it was all right. For me, I feel like there wasn't and this is gonna sound weird, especially because of the book, but there wasn't a lot of action. Like with Tress and everything, there was always kind of something going on, whether she had to cross the seething sea or she had to, barter with a dragon or fight Elantrian or whatever it is. With Yumi, a lot of it was a lot more slow paced and a lot more romance. And I think that's why a lot of people do like it, is because of the romance aspect and how well Brandon did with that. And I do love how he did it. I just also haven't read a lot of romance novels. I don't even think I read Romeo and Juliet, honestly. I know about it, obviously, but like I've never I've never read a lot of romance things.
And I can see
I
where
mean, being
Peck's coming
fair,
from.
even as a woman, I haven't read Romeo and Juliet or even Pride and Prejudice, actually, now that I think of it. One of my really good friends will only read romance books. She read Mistborn and just like didn't like it because there wasn't any romance in it. Well, minimal amounts. And Yumi gives me hope that maybe she'll read one. You have to be able to. That's one thing about Yumi, is I feel like it's going to attract a larger or a different audience. The audiences that are okay with maybe a slower pace and more focus on the romance rather than the adventure. Because Chess has romance in it, but it's very secondary to the adventure. It's the cause of the adventure, but not the adventure itself. Whereas with Yumi and Nikoro, the adventure is getting to know each other, at least partly.
And I actually kind of really understand where Fort is coming from here. Because I'm going to be honest, a lot of the time throughout Yumi, when I was having it read to me, because I'm a good born man and I only have my chosen ardents, Kate Reading or Michael Kramer, read to me, or Glorf. But there were a lot of times I felt like the urgency wasn't there. There would be times like days would pass and we'd be pretty much in the same place narratively. And I mean, all Painter would be doing is stacking rocks. And it felt like it was not, whereas, as he said, like in Tress, every minute something was happening. And I think it's interesting that, yeah, there's a lot more focus on the development of the characters in Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. And so maybe it's more of his, but then, of course, that's part of the thing that honestly, the ending to me felt a little bit rushed. Maybe it was because I got caught up in the Sanderlanche and I was like, I now have to listen to all of it right away. But it felt a little bit. Did anybody else feel like that? That the ending kind of it Sanderlanched hard. It wasn't a gradual Sanderlanche. It was like a boom, the edge of the cliff.
Yeah, it jarred me a lot, especially kind of like because the story was going on, and then Hoyd was like, "Okay, I'm stopping, and I'm going to inject everything for like a good while." And it wasn't horrible, especially because I needed that explanation of understanding what's going on with the machine. At the same time, I don't know how much she could have done with like maybe something else could have explained it or something, but like I felt like it was just a big interjection and just like the story's going, the story's going, the story's going. Okay, we're stopping right now and we're switching over to this thing and now we're coming back. It was jarring to me.
And yeah, actually, that makes sense. I can see that. I appreciated Hoyd's interjection because I didn't realize it until later, but it takes place in the space age. So there's a lot of stuff going on that we don't really have an understanding of, where the Heon lines came from, what virtuosity is. And so I appreciated the explanation because I was starting to get kind of frustrated. It was Sanderlanching, and I didn't know what the heck that storming machine was. And so while Hoyt's interjection felt jarring, it helped me appreciate the rest of the Sanderlanche more.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
I appreciated it. Even if you're right, Hoyt being frozen as a statue made his interjections a little bit stranger than the ones in Tress.
So here's the question that Doug has for y'all. When is it that you realized the narrator was Hoyd? Because I'm going to be honest. At first, I was all like, I was wondering who could this be, and then I was like, it's got to be Nash. It feels like Nash. Who, for those that who may not be as familiar, Nash is Chris's assistant. Chris is an arcanist that wrote most of the introductions for what's the little
Arcanum Unbounded.
Arcanum Unbounded, who goes around the Cosmere. She's made appearances in Mistborn 2. She dances with Wax at a ball randomly. And has she made an appearance yet in Stormlight? I can't remember seeing her.
Not
I
what
don't
I can
believe she's, yeah, I don't believe she's been in Stormlight. She's a main character in
White
the
Sun.
White Sands, which is the only Sanderson I actually haven't read, like in Cosmere. Maybe I gotta get on that.
I have the full omnibus for you if you need to ever borrow it or whatever.
So when did you guys figure out it was Hoyd? Because I was pretty sure it was Naj right up until it was all like, I'm Hoyd.
When I saw design, seeing design is what kind of tipped me off. It's like Hoyd's got to be nearby, and then listening to the tone of voice of the narrator, it was like, oh, okay.
What about you, Ford?
So I cheated because a year ago when he announced these, I listened to all of the previews for it, and he specifically said that Hoyd was going to narrate it. So even when I started the book, I knew.
Man.
Yeah, I refused any of the previews. I held off. Like, I don't even know the name of the fourth secret project, and I refuse to be told. If I waited this long, I can wait a little longer.
Just a few more months. I think it's going to be my favorite from the previews, but we'll see what happens.
Which the next one's supposed to be the Stormlight adjacent one, correct?
Yeah, so this month's swag box is the Cosmere, then it's Warbreaker, then it's Secret Project 4, then Stormlight, then the Sanderson fan.
Excellent. So let me ask you guys one other question that I've been grappling with, and I'd be interested in everybody else's questions on it when it comes to Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. Luin, good guy or bad guy, and why? Which, for those who haven't, who are read it a long time ago or had their ardents read it to them, Luin is the. Oh, okay. You guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Luin is the Kiho Mabin or warden of the Yokihijo. So she's the one that's sitting there telling Yumi what to do. What do you guys think? Good guy or bad guy?
Well, she ultimately was a good guy, right? She is the reason Nikoro is able to protect all of the people from the nightmares coming. No, she was kind of rough, but she was almost written that way. The people weren't not written like in the book, but written by the machine, right? Because these people were nightmares living the same day over and over and over again. And so it doesn't seem like she had a lot of agency in how she treated Yumi. So she might have been grumpy, but I think in the end, she ended up being really beneficial and really, honestly, kind of brave.
Interesting.
I'm not going to say whether she's good or bad because I don't think people can be defined so easily as, oh, they did this one good thing, so they're a good person, or they did this really bad thing, so they're a bad person. Everybody's a mix of everything, right? So at first, I didn't really like her. I'm like, wow, she's just really strict and is just making sure everything is done, like not letting Yumi have any fun, and it's just all business all the time. I don't really like those people. I like people who are more down to earth, people who are more understanding, people who are like, yeah, I get it, you're a person, I'm a person, whatever. But then as the story progressed, especially when Nikoro confronted her while he was in Yumi's body and is like, hey, you're getting the blame for everything, aren't you? I actually was able to step back and be like, she probably is and is having a hard time with just about everything as much as Nikoro and Yumi are, because no one will complain to the Yokihijo because that's not how their culture works or whatever. And then when she did confront Painter, when she tried killing Yumi and Painter at first, obviously that was not very good. But then when she got her consciousness back slightly and told him what was going on, that was a very good moment. And so there was a lot of mixed bag of emotions, but I hope that kind of makes enough sense.
Yeah. I kind of lean on. I like what you said, Ford. It's not necessarily she's a good guy or bad guy, but I kind of feel the same way, that it feels like she's trying desperately. Because I mean, the people in her society, even if we pretend like, way back the actual Luin before she became a nightmare, they everybody depends on the Yokihijo to do everything that needs to be done, right? Their whole society exists on keeping those Yokohijoing, whatever they do. What would be the verb for it? Hijoing? I don't know.
Summoning spirits, I don't know.
Yeah, but that's not as cool as Yokihijoing. That sounds more
I
fun
know
to
it's
say.
not.
I'm gonna get
Sometimes
my
we don't do
Hijo
things
on.
because they're cool.
Yeah.
That can sound Yeah, sure. Let's go
If we were to
Yoki
listen,
together.
yeah, if we were to listen to Hoyt, I'm sure there's a word that sounds better in their language.
Exactly. But she's trying to do the best she can because she realizes she kind of has all that weight on her. So I really liked how she's still a very ambiguous character. Like she was totally a jerk, probably, but from her perspective, it makes it a lot more sympathetic. So, well, anybody have any last thoughts on Yumi and the Nightmare Painter before we move on to our next item?
I think I'm good.
No, just that I really loved that book. Granted, I
Yeah.
love most Sanderson things, but I really loved that one.
Which it has beautiful artwork in it. Like of all the Brando Sando books, the best pictures are in that one, and I absolutely loved them. So,
Oh, they were so amazing.
Oh yeah.
so dear listeners, next item on our list is book club. So, what book club is each we choose a book, and then we read a certain amount of that book each week, and then come back and discuss it. So, because this we haven't selected a book yet, we're going to be discussing the book that we're going to be choosing for the upcoming week. And so, what we're going to be doing is, as a group, we're going to be working through the Skyward series, and we're going to do one section each week. So, we'll start with next week. We'll be discussing section 1 of, or part 1 of Skyward, including the prologue, and then we'll move along. We'd invite you guys to read along with us. We did the math, and if we read one part of the Skyward series each day, so part 1, part 2 through 4 of Skyward, and then part 1 through whatever of next one, Starsight, and
Yes.
so on,
And then Cytonic.
and then Cytonic, we will finish right in time for Defiance to come out, which we are excited for. So, and we'll probably be doing a special Defiance release podcast party that day. So, but for the next few minutes, we're spoiler free. So, but Skyward, any thoughts before we jump into it, and before we start discussing it next week? Any overall thoughts, Glorf Fort, that you've got for us?
The fact that we're doing Skyward is something that is going to be kind of a shift of perspective, right? Because there's been so much Cosmere with Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, all the talk about Stormlight 5, but Skyward is very science fiction. And so I think it will be fun reading that all together, and discussing a book that is just kind of a different style than what you usually get, this out of Cosmere book. And I think it'll be fun. I've only read them once before. It'll be fun to go through it again with Fort and the Doug and any of you listeners who decide to read along with us. It'll be fun to get that the insights this second time through.
Yeah, I really like the book series. It is different from the Cosmere, but it's definitely something good. I'm excited to reread it because, like Glorf, I've only read it once as well. But yeah, without spoiling anything. Yeah.
And it does leave just enough of a cliffhanger that I am so excited for Defiant.
Yes.
Oh yeah. And for those who may not be familiar, Skyward is written more as a YA novel by Brandon Sanderson. It consists of 3 books: Skyward, Starsight, and Cytonic. And then there are actually 3 novellas we're not going to get the chance to cover, but I would highly recommend checking out. It's called Redawn Sunspot. No, can't remember what the names of the books are, but Redawn, Evershore, and can't remember what the first one is called.
Starsight.
Starsight.
Nope, that's
No, yeah, I was
nope.
gonna say.
It's Sun something.
Yeah, it is Sunreach.
Sunreach.
So
Yes.
it's a science fiction set in the future involving a group of fighter pilots that have to fight in space against an oppressive force. So it's actually really great fun. It's interesting to kind of get out of so far, most of what Sanderson's written so far with the Cosmere has been, early modern age, late Middle Ages. We've gotten a little bit of difference from that in Era 2 of Mistborn, but a lot of it's been kind of the same time period. So it's one that I really enjoy. It's a little bit more faster paced than some of these deeper series. but still ton of fun. So with that, we're almost out of time, folks, but we've got our meme off to go through. So each of us are going to share a meme that we've got. And then we're going to ask you, listeners, to vote in the comments or on the Creme Posting subreddit. And just give me just a second to pull my meme up here while the rest of us get our memes ready. Sorry, having some technical difficulties. You know how it is. But
and some weeks our memes will have a theme. This week we're just trying to out meme each other. So there will 99% be spoilers in this section. So please be warned. But I'm sure our memes will all be awesome.
I thought of mine today while I was at work. I'm like, what's a really good meme? And then I made it. I'm like, oh, this is going to be awesome. I hope it's.
Yeah. Well, that is a bummer that you guys made such great memes, and yet the Doug is going to outshine you. So I'll start by sharing my meme real quick while the rest of you get yours ready. So screen share, and then, nope, come on, screen share. Sorry, folks, still working out some of the bugs. Here we go. Okay, so this is our meme. It's a DW meme, and it's Way of Kings. Which says, don't be a tool if you're in charge. And then it's DW, representing the Alethi High Princes, saying, that sign won't stop me because I can't read. I love
my gosh.
because it has a double layer to it. So, you want to go next, Glorf or Fort?
Yeah, I'll go next. I don't know how to share the screen, so.
There's a screen share button right down in the middle. It's green.
Okay, share screen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, okay. So this is my meme I got going on.
I like it. Describe it for our
Yumi.
listeners.
Yeah, so it's the iCarly meme with Carly and Sam standing there, and Carly and Sam are representing Yumi, and Carly saying, what you got there? And it's Spencer in the elevator holding a smoothie with an ostrich. And the place of the smoothie, I have a picture of a bamboo. And in place of the ostrich, I have a whole bunch of famous paintings. And painters sitting there saying, bamboo.
I like that. Very impressive. Much better than mine.
That's awesome.
Right.
And I don't know if we mentioned at the beginning of the meme off, we have made these memes. These are not ones we found. These are ones that we made.
Exactly. Like Brandon Sanderson produces great works of art. We copy off those works of art and put them to funny pictures, because that's the extent of our creativity.
Yep.
You want to go next, Glorf?
I would love to. Here is mine. It's a Stormlight adjacent. It's Nick Cage and Pedro Pascal. And Nick Cage is wit. It says, I have bonded a literal monster. And grinning Pedro Pascal is design, saying, it's endearing.
Oh, yeah. That's one thing that I loved about Yumi is design constantly talking about how endearing it is.
And wit's not there to argue with her.
So if you want to, we're grateful for all you listeners that are here. If you want to continue to support the channel, go ahead and give us a like and a subscribe. Leave your comments on which meme you feel is the best in the comments, and we'll let us know the winners next week. And with that, this is the Doug reminding you that that a pan is a promise.
Okay, this is Glorf. I don't have anything creative to say. I'm going to have to figure that out for next week. It must be endearing.
And this is Ford. Just remember, the most important step a man can take is always the next one.
And we'll see you guys next week. Adios.
Bye.